Well, Jurgen Klopp frustrated, amongst other things, by this decision that PGMOL have released a statement on, saying a significant human error occurred in the first half of the game, including the goal for Luis Diaz, which they say was a clear and obvious factual error and should have resulted in the goal being awarded through VAR intervention. But significantly, they say the VAR failed to intervene. Jurgen Klopp has read that statement now, and he has been speaking about it in his press conference.
Factual error. Does that...
Who does that help now? We had that situation in the Man United game. Did Wolves get points for it? No. We will not get points for it, so it doesn't help. I think what everybody wants, that nobody expects 100% right decisions on field. But I think we all thought when VAR comes in, it might make things easier. I don't know why the people in the VAR are they that much under pressure. Today the decision was made really quick, I would say, for that goal. It changed the momentum of the game. So that's how it is. We scored that goal. It was top, outstandingly well played. In a game where you don't get a lot to feel better, so and then you make that's a super important information. That's how we can hurt them. That's how we can beat them. Stuff like this. So it was super difficult.
Well, if he was frustrated in his post-match interview with Patrick Davison, he was even more so by the time he got into the press conference. The first question that he asked about it, though, was, who does the statement help? And the PGMOL admitting to the decision, admitting to the error, the human error that they say was made. What difference does that make to the overall outcome of the game?
Well, I think for everybody at home, us included, we want to know what was a human error. Were the lines drawn the wrong way? Did it actually break down in there? I mean, I don't. We went to Stockley Park to see exactly how it's done. Now, my sympathy is with them that it's a pressurised situation. You've got very few seconds to draw lines, etc. Make sure you get everything right. Calibrate it, and make sure that you get to the right outcome. With this situation, we don't even know whether they've got the lines, whether the lines have broken, and how many other times has this happened before. It just feels this is carnage for them right now. This is such a bad look for VAR, for the Premier League. This is the last thing that it needs right now.
The problem is, Jamie, I know it's tough, the refs have to do here and at Stockley Park, but VAR was brought in to take away the human error. Now it's just added another layer of it. We've got human error on the pitch, and then we go to VAR, and there's another human error. And we're sitting here debating for hours on end about decisions where VAR should have taken away that.
Yeah, because but with offside, that's a matter of fact. Other decisions are contentious. We don't know. We can talk about them. This is somebody at Stockley Park saying offside or not.
The red card.
Absolutely. This is just somebody. This is a guy that thinks, I think that's a bad tackle. I think you should go and look at that. That's a red card. With those ones, we all really have to trust in that situation. We've trusted the offside and believe in it and think, well, that we have to just walk away. And even players at times, when you're on the pitch, you think, well, that's the end of that. Was fine. We'll walk away. As you're a player there, you're thinking, I was onside there. That can't be right. I think there's been loads more of those as well.
The two rock-solid elements of technology intervention in football over the last few years have been goal line technology and the application of offside, because even if you think that you don't believe in it, the lines are drawn in the same position every single time. What that does today is undermine other decisions over the last few weeks, months, year, where you think, hang on, was that right? You start to undermine the process of offside, which actually, the two that everybody I think were fixed on, that were actually being delivered on a consistent basis, were goal line technology and offside. That is a really bad one. The one thing I would say is, Kelly, on the point of, sorry, who does it help? And Jurgen Klopp saying that, I'm disappointed with that. I think, to be fair, we should never underplay the idea of people admitting a mistake and saying sorry. A lot of people in football don't say sorry. A lot of people in football, to be fair, are happy to sort of blame other people and say that it's someone else's fault. So the idea that the referees have come out and said, we've got this wrong, it's a bad human error.
They haven't apologised.
Well, no,
they've explained that it was a human error.
Well, they've come out and said it's human. They've admitted their mistake, which is, to be fair, more than what a lot of people do in football. You don't get many players, including myself during my career, when you've made a bad mistake, coming out and owning up on television. So I think we should accept that they've made a mistake. I don't want to see someone lose their job in any walk of life, but this is a really bad one for them, and I don't want to see someone lose their job. Last time this happened last year, that happened. I hope that we're in a situation whereby the person who, to be fair, has done it, I don't even know who it is, gets maybe a sort of a couple of games off, but then can come back in and they can reintegrate himself. People and fans at home, Liverpool fans, might not see that as being a thing. I feel sorry for Liverpool tonight, and to be fair, that's me going soft after 11 years out of Manchester United. You know, my team have lost today, but actually after that, you know, with for Matip, for obviously Liverpool with that decision, you know, you have to feel a degree of empathy. But I think my view would be simply that is a really nice other offsides. I've been worried about offsides for a few weeks, right? Might be unfounded, but I'm worried about them because I think there's certain things I've looked at, I thought, that isn't right. You've mentioned before about...
trusted it though, Gary, haven't we? That's
and this is why the investigation that they have said that they're going to launch into this is so important, because as you said, people who do have that natural scepticism about VAR, about the technology in football, this will be grist to their mill, if you like. This is something that they can use.
They're going to bring in the automated system. Apparently, they're testing it at the moment, aren't they?
This is what I was going to say. The World Cup, they had the semi-automated system. It worked perfectly. The Premier League were offered it at the start of the season. They turned it down. So, for me, there can be no sympathy.
No, Gary has joined us. I felt I should explain that rather than just pretending he'd been here all alone. He's come down from the gantry, and there were a lot of contentious decisions in this game. What was your opinion of the standard of officiating overall?
Look, I mean, the red card of Curtis Jones, there'll be probably 50% of the people think it's a red and 50% might think that, to be fair, it's a bit harsh and the yellow was fine. The Jota one, I don't think there'll be much sympathy for him. I don't think Jurgen Klopp had any sympathy for Jota because he just went and sat down on his bench, started speaking about how he was going to move the game on.
You said that particularly about the second instance, didn't you? When he'd already been given the yellow card. Yeah,
but I've just reflected on the first one. He could have got booked a couple of minutes before the first one for a challenge at the edge of the box. And I think the referees probably thought, well, hang on a minute, this is your second one now. So maybe that's why he's booked him for the second one. I don't have much sympathy for Jota. I think he's the one that'll feel he's let his teammates down a little bit. But I think from Curtis Jones' point of view, that will be... It's not a howler, that one, by the referee, by the way. I just think the way in which they showed the actual incident drove the referee towards sending him off anyway, because you show him in that position whereby it always looks terrible, doesn't it, when that sort of them studs are on the ankle like that, but it's how it gets there. That wasn't a football player doing another football player, was it?
Intent was there. And in our era, we remember it very well, where you had to protect yourself. People used to get taught to roll over the ball to try to make sure you go over the top. Nowadays, I just don't think anybody does that. I just think that was a complete accident.
I think the problem is, like you said, as the referee's running over, it's already on that freeze frame of him being in his shin. So already he's running over with the impression that this could be a red card. You can see it here. It's on that freeze frame already.
Do you know the thing as a football player, we actually universally as football players hate that challenge. We hate to see that challenge where someone's gone over the top to break another professional's leg, another player's leg. We hate it. We would say, get off if he'd done that. That wasn't one of those.
But that's an ex-player's perspective, and from a referee's perspective, from a viewer's perspective, and from a spectator's perspective.
I get it, Kelly.
You can see that's potentially.
But should they not show him that at full speed to start with? Give him an opportunity to have a look at it, but just showing him like that, and that is, of course, that freeze frame looks horrendous, but it's how you get to that point.
I'll ask Gary the same question. Letter of the law may be wrong, but by the letter of the law, it's excessive force, right?
No, I mean, look, we can. I sort of understand. I do understand what you're saying, and people will say it's a red card. I just remember playing against Nani in training. Nani used to put his foot over the ball to try and pull it back and drag it away, and there's a lot of players do it, and Patrice Evra used to do it against me in training. Sometimes you go, you've done me there.
Paul Pogba do one here against Tottenham.
It's right, you've done me there, but they haven't. They actually, to be fair, it's what they do to protect the ball, to actually try and bring it away. And his foot slid over the top of the ball. If his foot doesn't slip over the top of the ball and he'd gone clear over the ball, I'd say absolutely no problem. He doesn't do that. Yeah. His foot slips over the top of the ball, and then it throws his foot forward like that, which is why I don't think it was a red. But
yeah, I can see, people say, I get it, but in terms of being malicious, or I didn't see that he was. Sometimes you see a player when they're really stretching, they're out of control. That's an out of control challenge.
Look, also as well, Basuma is so quick in that to get across, but he doesn't think Basuma's probably going to get there. It's so quick, all this, by the way, in the players' heads. Basuma just gets his foot in there quickly because that's what Basuma is. He's got that real sort of ability to get a foot in quickly, and he just gets caught out, Curtis Jones, I think, by the speed of everything.
And just before that as well, Sarr's pulling him as well. So as he's pulling him, he's sort of body then trying to get back into a situation where he can manipulate the ball away. Look, it's one of those, and like you say, I personally, I don't like it as a red card, but if they've got to that decision, I don't agree with it.
They've got to the decision. Liverpool are down to 9 men in the game. Ange Postecoglou joined us earlier, Gary, and was saying how difficult his team found it against the 9 men of Liverpool. What did they do? Like, because as the defender on our panel, what did they do to make life difficult for Spurs?
Well, look, Liverpool, to be fair, went into a back 5, obviously, very narrow, with width of the box, and they had a 3 in front of it. So all their players were literally the width of the box. I just think from Tottenham's point of view, keep your wide players wider. And the other thing is, Tottenham's 2 fullbacks, we know famously this season, go inside and play inside. I think he should have pushed them back into traditional fullback positions and gone and played outside. You know, Porro should have gone and played with Kulusevski really wide, and so should Doggy on the other side, and stretch that Liverpool 3 in midfield to try and get across. And really sort of, if you like, Ange Postecoglou plays through the middle to then go out. He should have done it the other way and had the players out to stretch that Liverpool back 5 and 3, and they just didn't do that very well.
I think as well, I was taught as a kid, when every time you play against 10 men or even 9 men, you've got to get overlaps from fullbacks. Every time, especially if you've got people like Kulusevski, wants to keep getting onto his left foot. That is food and drink for every centre-back. They've got 3 big centre-backs there. As soon as Porro goes down the outside, it causes you a different problem completely altogether. So that was something that I think you've always got to do, make it as wide as possible, the pitch, and keep getting overlaps in those situations.
I think the problem is when it was 10 men, they still had the threat of Salah, they still had the threat of Diaz, so they didn't want to fully commit because they were worried that they were going to get done on the other side.
We're talking about with 9 men here, aren't we? When they went to the 5 and the 3, when they went to the 5 and the 3 system, Liverpool, I think that's when they should have definitely split their full-backs wide along with the 2 wide players and kept them wide in those wide areas.
They did eventually get the win at Tottenham, though, because these Spurs fans, as we talked about earlier, now believe that their side can go and win games in difficult circumstances. Yes, it was an own goal from Joel Matip, but was this them doing exactly what the guys have talked about and making that opportunity?
Yeah, it's exactly that. I think it's the first time they were able to whip a ball in behind the back line as opposed to in front of them, which is food and drink for Matip and Van Dijk and the big 6-foot defenders.
Can we just go back to that previous angle? Where Porro was just about to cross it from that wide area? You know, no, the one before that, sorry. Matip's in there, and I just think he can get there quicker to set himself. John Terry was the very best at getting to that near post, planting his feet in concrete and sweeping it away like that. If you're going back in towards your own goal, just look at it now. Watch Matip. He just could have got back in there a bit quicker and set himself. And he just jogs back in there and he ends up just stretching for it a little bit. Now, people will say it's unlucky. The best defenders, you know, and I'm citing John Terry because he's one of the best of it. Tony Adams was brilliant at it as well. They'd get there, they'd plant the feet, they'd set themselves, and they'd have a good swing at it from a set position. Matip's moving towards his own goal, and you then just talking about like an inch one way off your shin pad or another, and it's in the back of your net or it goes past the post. And you see it quite often from centre-backs.
A little bit.
Jamie,
didn't he? Yeah.
I'm just going to jump in because we do have the statement from the PGMOL that's come through. PGMOL acknowledge a significant human error occurred during the first half of Tottenham Hotspur against Liverpool.
Oh, no.
The goal by Luis Diaz was disallowed for offside by the on-field team of match officials.
No.
This was a clear and obvious factual error and should have resulted in the goal being awarded through VAR intervention. However, the VAR failed to intervene, and this is why we couldn't get the shot of the lines being on the situation. PGMOL will conduct a full review into the circumstances which led to the error.
No, Kelly, seriously.
Yes, that's what's happened.
No, at the time, I thought we get VAR up on the commentary box before anybody else does, and I thought that's onside. And then all of a sudden, you just hear in your ear...
You need to expect you get a preview of the pictures, don't you?
We get a preview of the pictures up on the gantry, and we get the actual commentary from the VAR officials to the referee. And you all of a sudden, you're like, check complete. Like, what? No lines. It was so quick. And then obviously you've slowed it down at half-time. It was too quick, and something was obviously wrong. That is unbelievable. That is a bad one. That really, really... I mean, they said significant... That is very significant, and I think to be fair...
It makes you wonder how many others they've got.
Oh, no. There's a couple in the last few weeks that I just thought haven't been right, and I've been actually asking us, have we got the right cameras at these stadiums? We never seem to be in line anymore. We've always been in line.
But I think there's a difference between something to the eye looking offside and not intervening, which is what happened.
But Kelly, we do have the lines on the pitch. By the way, these groundsmen are laser pinpoint accuracy. They never get a line wrong. So when you look at the lines on the pitch, they're so accurate, these lines.
They do calibrate them for perspective. I take your point, is that and the issue with this instance is that it then gives weight to that argument and makes it more difficult for people to accept.
I've defended VAR and offsides as being a matter of fact, but there's been 2 or 3 in the last few weeks where I've behind the scenes thought that doesn't feel right, the angle's not right. Have they drawn the lines on? And to me, that one, I mean, oh no.
I suppose the problem then you have to go with the on-field decision.
So they said the technology wasn't working, or
they said VAR failed to intervene.
So what I suppose what else?
Which I don't. But they did inside the ground. They did put VAR was checking it on the big screens. But they did have those announcements on the big screen.
Yeah, but that's taken. They put that up 5 or 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
It was all too quick, Kelly. It was all too quick. It wasn't right. At the time, I was like, oh, right, hang on a minute. Right, we'll move on. And I actually went down to the director who said, well, look, they'll have definitely drawn the lines on back in Stockley Park. But I went, how can they have done? It was too quick. Have they drawn the lines on? I mean, there's obviously no sort of, if you like, explanation of how they've got it wrong. And
I mean, it doesn't make you feel any better if you're the Liverpool manager. No. How do you feel about that right now? Big moment in the game, opportunity to go 1-0 up. It's just a horrendous error. It's horrendous.
That's a horrendous one, because I can see times whereby you've got lots of players in the way and you might have drawn it on the wrong shoulder. That is clearly Romero's foot, and it's clearly Diaz's shoulder. It's clear for everybody. There's only 2 players in shot. There's loads of space. There's not like a collection of players in line. But I still keep saying over these last few weeks, something hasn't been right. I've been like thinking, we always used to have like cameras in line with offsides at every point in the stadium. And it's almost as if like now, there's like no cameras are in line. It's like what they're doing, they're picking the wrong cameras to even do the lines on. It's just weird. Sorry, I know you're smiling there, Anders, but honestly, last few weeks I've said the same thing, that they're picking the wrong camera angles to actually put the lines on even. Something doesn't feel right.
It has been an eventful day. There's been a lot to talk about. So let's go through in order. We'll start with the red card for Curtis Jones, because that was the first thing that happened. So chronologically, it's probably the most straightforward way. Thoughts on it, Jamie?
Yeah, I think this is extremely harsh, Kelly. I said it at half-time. I think you can see that once he has the initial collision with him, he tries to just take the ball away with his right foot there to use a bit of skill, but he catches the top of the ball, and then that obviously the excessive force goes onto his shin of Bissouma.
Yeah, I don't think it's extremely harsh. I think it's the letter of the law, it's a red card.
It wasn't half-time.
No, it's not extremely harsh. The letter of the law, it's a red card, but I believe that shouldn't be a red card because he's got a touch on the ball. He's gone over the ball slightly into the player's leg. So I think...
So is it a red card or not then?
Letter of the law?
If you just said,
letter of the law,
you said it's
no,
not.
Letter of the law is a red card, but I don't believe that should be a red card. I believe if you touch the ball in a tackle, his got his contact on the ball. He's rolled over, he's gone onto his leg. Yes, he's caught him high, but for me, he's got the ball. So my interpretation, it should be a red card. Letter of the law, excessive force.
Do you feel he's not endangering the opponent?
He's endangering the opponent, but every time you step on the field, you know you're going to be endangered. You know you could have a serious injury.
I think he's just trying to take the ball away from him. As he catches the ball on top, his foot goes to the right and then it lands on Bissouma's leg. I don't think in any way is he tried to hurt him or endanger him. Sometimes these things happen. I just don't see that as a red card. If we're going to have every single situation like that a red card, we'll end up with no players on the pitch.
So Liverpool down to 10 men, and as we've been hearing from a Spurs perspective, it was difficult to play against, and Liverpool had that threat on the counter. They thought they'd made it count when Luis Diaz scored, but it was given for offside. The assistant flagged, and then VAR took a look at it and agreed with the assistant's decision. Yeah. So, Andros,
I think we could all agree on this one. I think we saw it once upstairs and we turned away and said, all right, clearly onside, goal. And then they came up with, like Gary said on commentary, they came up with the decision so quick that it was offside that we thought maybe we'd miss something.
Yeah.
We've seen so many angles.
We haven't seen a version, as you say, with the lines on. Nobody has seen a version of this with the official lines on, which is what would be normal practice. We are waiting, we believe, for a statement from PGMOL. And we know that sometimes, because of the calibration of the lines, that it can be deceptive to look at it with normal
This isn't
cameras.
though, Kelly. I think everybody at home will agree this is onside. And what it does, it actually makes you wonder how many other situations they've got wrong. Because we're drawing lines on shirt, up the lengths of arms, the shirt line. I think we need clarification for people at home to make this game as simple as possible, especially on disallowed goals like that. Now, they've got that wrong. looks like by a yard. That's the human eye. We're not talking about drawing lines. And when they get it as badly wrong, it's not a good look. Now, the PGMOL, we've given them opportunities to come on, and they've given them a platform to express how good VAR is. In this situation, I think everybody, Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool fans, Tottenham fans, everybody needs to know, if they've made a mistake, hold your hands up. That happens sometimes. We all make mistakes in life. But that one, for me, they've got that so badly wrong. But I go back to the rule. I actually don't like the rule in terms of with strikers and defenders. Every time a player, so if I was against Andros and I'm an attacker, my body shape is going to be that way. Andros is trying to clear out, he's going to be that way. So why we even use arms and shoulders when the ball can be in from there? I actually think we've got to make it a lot more simple. And if it's your feet, if my foot's ahead of the line, that's offside. We're making it so complicated.
Not for today's decision.
Listen,
but I take your point.
But VAR have made many mistakes in the last few years. I'm not a fan of VAR at all, but the one thing they have got right is the offsides, the interpretation, whichever way they want to interpret it, they've got those decisions right. If we're now saying we can't even trust the technology, where does that leave us in the Premier League with football?
Well, we are still waiting, we believe, for this statement from the PGMOL. We'll bring it to you if it comes out before we go off air. If it isn't out by the time we go off air, then of course you'll be able to keep an eye on Sky Sports News and across our digital platforms, and we'll let you know what they've had to say about that. But that was to make it 1-0 to Liverpool, down to 10 men. 2 minutes and 21 seconds later, Spurs were in front through Son.
Yeah, and it was sensational. I spoke about half-time. Look at the two banks of four for Liverpool. So compact, so tight, but Maddison still finds a way to drop deep and break. Look at it, this angle here is perfect. He manages to drop deep and break two lines of Liverpool's defence with one pass. Splits it totally open. It's a genius from Maddison. Incredible ball.
And brilliant by Richarlison as well. But he's done that. How many times have we seen James Maddison do that in the Tottenham shirt already? He just looks so at home. Great movement as well. Son did this last week against Arsenal. He gets in between the two centre-backs and the lovely deft touch just past the goalkeeper. He's been brilliant. He's been so important, and it's so good for Richarlison as well. He needed that. He needed a moment. You mentioned actually before the game he can bring something different apart from his goals, and he certainly did that with his assist. But the pass by James Maddison, there's only a few players in the Premier League that can see that and then execute it as well.
Yeah, the talent and also the way that those relationships are gelling within that Spurs side. And then later, Liverpool were level just before we went in for the break. That was into added time at the end of the first half. Cody Gakpo got the goal. What were your thoughts, Andros?
Yeah, this one could be so demoralising because you could see Spurs, they cancelled their high press. They set back into their low block of their own. They thought, right, let's see out the last few minutes. Let's get into half-time at 1-0 up and reassess. But they just invited the pressure. Van Dijk's up there and it's second ball. But again, it's an incredible finish from Gakpo. His whole body position is facing the opposite side. To get his hips over and swivel was incredible.
I think you'd be going mad if your Szoboszlai comes in. He wants him to just lay it back to him. And then he sees him do that and he's going, OK, that's fine. You can, as long as you do that, I don't mind what you do. But it is, as you say, he swivels on it brilliantly and he hits it past the goalkeeper before he can get a touch on it. It's obviously such an important goal. You've got 10 men, you've got someone to hang on to. They did it against Newcastle. They're very comfortable in their own skin in these situations. And then you ask the question, can you break us down? And obviously then we get to 9 men.
Yeah, Liverpool down to 9 men when Diogo Jota was sent off. The first incident that led to the first yellow card on first viewing looked like there was very little. Looked like there was very little contact in that at all. But you saw more. No, but you're probably looking at it more from a winger's perspective when you're from a forward's perspective.
Yeah, I don't know if it's this one. I think it's the one after this.
This is the foul that we think may have led to accumulation. In the build-up.
This is probably the worst of the lot, to be honest. But it's this one here because when you're running at speed, it only takes a slight touch to knock you off. And I spotted a little bit of contact on Udogie's right leg on Jota's right knee. You spotted the left knee, so it's both of those just accumulated to knock him off balance.
And once you've already been booked, you just cannot do that. You cannot lunge into tackles. You know you're going to cost your team. You've got to stay out the way of any decisions like that. It didn't make any sense for him to get involved. I think Gary said it in commentary, and I couldn't agree more. Whether there's actually a touch or not, it's almost not the point. Don't dive into tackles because you end up costing your team. So I actually think that was, 2 yellows is a fair result.
I think the second one's a bit harsh. I think the referee could have used a bit of common sense. He's just been booked. It was more like he was angry that he lost the ball, so he just lunged out.
I don't think we're going to use common sense today with the referees. I think that went out the window in this match.
Any football fan, should the chance come his or her way. Anfield is the venue. I'm Derek Ray, here on the commentary position, joined by Lee Dixon to help me describe all the action. And looking forward to bringing you action from the Premier League coming right up. It is Liverpool up against Tottenham Hotspur.
Cheers, Derek. Yes, excited about this one. Interesting match-up for me. We should get a good game here, hopefully.
Plenty of options. Really vital interception. So the starting lineup for Liverpool. Alisson gets the nod in goal. Andrew Robertson starts with Trent Alexander-Arnold in the fullback positions. Mohamed Salah plays with Sadio Mane out wide. And in this tactical priority was to hang on to the ball, which he did. Andrew Robertson. Roberto Firmino. But on the way into the game, so many people were asking us about Sadio Mane, a truly top talent. Lee, what kind of display do you expect to see from him?
Well, when I look at a player I'm playing against, the first thing I look at is how quick is he? And if he is quick, if he's got pace, I have to play him a certain way. That's my first objective. Stop him getting the ball so he can use that pace.
Plenty of players waiting in the middle. Fabinho. Wijnaldum. Well, referees like to manage the game just as much as players do, but today it is an early yellow card, and we'll see what effect that has on the match.
Well, it'll have a big effect, especially on the player, and also the defenders around that player that's been booked earlier in the game, because they now know he's walking a tightrope.
Chance to put them in front, and a goal courtesy of Mohamed Salah. His side in front to their delight.
Well, look at this again. It's all about being in the right place at the right time. And from that sort of range, there's only one winner.
A chance to revisit the goal. One 1-0 then.
Goal for Liverpool. Number 11, Mohamed Salah.
Lo Celso. Giving the ball to the opposition that time. Salah. Firmino.